Welcome back to the game dungeon. And today we're going to be talking about some of the other stuff we have here. Besides video games, we have books. So we have a lot of books that I've collected over the years, and I just wanted to go through some of them and discuss my thoughts on them and, you know, how long I've had them. And I'm just going to start with what's on my coffee table here because I have stacks and stacks of things that I've bought that I haven't even read yet, and so I'll talk about them. First up, right here, we have The Last Ronin, which is a Ninja Turtles graphic novel. I just got this recently. I've known about it for a long time, and Ninja Turtles. So I really got into them when the '90 movie came out, the best Ninja Turtles movie, really the only. Well, no, I wouldn't say the only good one, but better than any other Ninja Turtles movie that's come out since. Definitely better than the Michael Bay movies, and I think far better than the new one that came out where Donatello sounds like a little girl. This is a great graphic novel. This is really a nice way to cap off the stories of Leo, Mike, Donatello, and Raph. I could not put this down. I didn't think I was going to like it that much. I've read some TMNT comics, but mostly I had watched the cartoon from the early 2000s. Didn't really watch the 80s cartoon, and I don't think I've seen a single full episode of that show, but I have watched the one that used to come on 4Kids on, I think it was WB back in the day. This is a great book. It's got the original creators of the TMNT as the primary writers and some artists, some art involved with them. You can kind of get like some of that black and white classic Eastman and Laird art style in here, and really it's just a good standalone TMNT story. I know they've done like a sequel to this and like prequels, which I may get, but this is a good one. All right, what else do we have here? We have Return of the King, Lord of the Rings. I bought this a while ago, sometime last year, and I have not finished it. I think I'm only in the first chapter, but I did read The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings 1 and 2, and these books. I think the books are always better than the movie. I think that's just a rule. I saw the movies way before I had ever read the books, and The Hobbit's okay. I think the Hobbit movie, the first one, is really good. But The Hobbit is a good book. But Lord of the Rings 1 and 2 really kind of details these characters in like their most truest form. And as someone who loves Tolkien fantasy and everything that's kind of evolved from that, World of Warcraft, D&D, I mean anything with an orc, a dwarf, and an elf. It's really cool to see as far as I understand, their origins and where all these people took their inspiration. That gives me my inspiration. So I will finish this someday soon. I have not. I just kind of stopped. I was going to read some other books, and I didn't. So this one is next. This is I already know it's going to be great. This is not my book. This is my wife's book. My wife's book, Court of Wings and Ruin, and I have no thoughts on this, but it is here, and this is a very popular series as I understand it. Here's one of the Drizzt D&D Forgotten Realms, the original trilogy, which I purchased at a half-price books. You can see there for about $4. And I started reading the first Drizzt book, which is somewhere around here. And I plan on finishing it because I really got into the lore of the Forgotten Realms after playing Baldur's Gate 3 and a little bit of 2. And it's cool to see all these character references from these novels by R.A. Salvatore, and the kind of the underlying story of the D&D kind of main universe or primary universe they use in 5e. Well, I will finish this as book two of I think 1,000 now, but I think I don't know. As I understand it, it was originally a trilogy, or maybe it's not. But got a good copy here that's pretty unused, and I'll enjoy reading that at some point. Lord of the Ring: Two Towers. I just talked about this briefly. Of the two I've read, I think Two Towers is really interesting by far. The first movie really follows the book. They're very, very tight. Two Towers is so different. Everything with good grief, not Gondor, but Rohan. The way the battle at Helm's Deep, which they barely call it that here, they use a different word name here, and you forgive me for not knowing all the various things. The way it happens at Isengard, the way things happen with the Ents, it's similar in the movies, but it's like I think so much cooler in the books. But the way with Rohan is pretty different. Rohan, the way the king handles the situation, he's kind of shown to be a little more, I think, cowardly, I think, in the movie, but in the book, I think he's a little more heroic. I could be wrong. I don't remember everything exactly, but I do remember being like, well, he's not as much of a, he's not trying to run away. They were gonna like storm freaking Isengard, but it didn't end up that way in this book. Something happened. The way they dealt with, you kind of really learn Ciri Ungol and all these like names of Mordor and the Spider Queen, whose name is not in my head right now. The way the actual book ends is very interesting. Shelob, the name of the spider. But I think this is a better tale of, I already said it, than the movie. And the movie's cool. Just like action and awesome. But this is better. So I would read this if I were you. I Am Stan. A graphic novel about Stan Lee. I read most of this. I stopped near the end. There's some interesting things about Stan Lee. Whether or not it's how accurate it is, I can't say. It's like a graphic novel of his life, how he handled things in his business. It's very interesting stuff. It's kind of weird to see one of the heroes, and sometimes it's not perfect lights. Some of the things it tells here, and the way he kind of handled some of his artists, and some of his artists didn't like him too much. But there's a lot of good about him here, and some interesting ways they tell, like him being in like the Incredible Hulk movie, or when he started doing his little Excelsior and stuff like that. And you can see the evolution of his look, like it's kind of shown here in the back. I always thought I never really thought about it. He was like bald at one point, and then later Stan Lee kind of had like a cool little wig going on. And I didn't realize he even had a wig, which is, of all the things about Stan Lee, the most remarkable thing, right? His hairstyle, right? Now, but this is a really interesting little art graphic novel of him, and I enjoyed it. And Stan Lee is one of my superheroes, as it were. I got to meet him. That will be one of my favorite things I can tell anybody in my life, is that I actually got to meet Stan Lee, and got his t-shirt signed by him, dressed as Captain America. I was dressed as Captain America, not him. And it's one of the like really cool things I can say of people that I've met that are important. I think Stan Lee is probably going to be my favorite at the end of the day. Next up, I have some comic books of various natures, of various comic books. Some of these I got at Main Event. They give away comic books as a prize, like older issued, and some I don't know if the reprints or the originals, but It's really cool to see them. No, this is not a reprint. This is an original. You can tell by the ink, the way the ink's faded. So this is X-Men. It states it's got the 80s X-Men here. Jubilation Day. There's like a Jubilee story at the box. You got your Advanced Dungeons and Dragons ad, and my favorite thing about old comic books, it's the stories are good, but the ads are the best. Look at that, Bubble Bobble for NES. The ads are the best part of any comic book, at least like older issues. You've got High Glide here, High Glide for NES, and you can really see some of your own. Look at Rogue. Look at that hairstyle she's got there. The White Widow's Peak. These are amazing. And we got a Super Mario Brothers ad. Nintendo. This is, it's hard to beat stuff like that. I've got Nomad. I hate you, Nomad. And if anybody knows, that's Steve Rogers when he hung up the shield for a little bit. You got one of my favorite movies of all time, the Super Mario Brothers movie ad right there. I love classic comics. I like all comic books, but classic comics really hold a high. Look, you can see him back as regular cat back there with like a little Bucky. A high importance to me because, well, of course they introduced me to the canon of heroes you can see back there. X-Man. And they're one of I used to love collecting good half-price books. Got some Fantastic Four here. These are from my in-laws. Really cool. Got the new Ultimate Spider-Man. This just came out. Ultimate Spider-Man's back. I do need to read that. I got this very vintage Captain America and Iron Man from them. So thank you guys again. Love y'all. Appreciate that. And anyways, back to comic books. I've collected them for years, and I think they showed the truest versions of these characters that you see now on TV. A lot of them will change a little bit. There's a lot of new stories, and it's good. I mean, you can't expect these characters to remain the same forever, especially when the nature of a Marvel comic, you have to keep reinventing the character in order for it to be relevant or interesting. But the older comics, I think, hold a kind of a truer nature to the characters. We also got some other thicker books, coffee table style books. This is World of Warcraft Shadowlands Grimoire of the Shadowlands and Beyond. I want to finish reading this. These books are really cool because they kind of tell the story of the characters in WoW, and that's primarily the reason why I still continue to play the game. The gameplay is fun. The characters and the story are what keep me there. And I've been a big fan of the as they say, lore of the story for a long time. And I found this at very cheap, half-price books. Half-price books get a lot of good books. And I need to finish reading that because there's a lot of interesting notes about characters that we deal with in game there. Another World of Warcraft book, Exploring Pandaria. I got this at BlizzCon, so that's really awesome. I have read this, and it tells really cool stories. Very similar to that. It's about Pandaria, which is the as you might be able to guess, the continent where the Pandaren live or originate from, and this tells a lot about the history of some of the landmarks you can see, all in the game. So this art represents what you can see in the game and travel to, and that's the really cool thing about an MMO like WoW is because this is talking about something that exists in some form, digital data, but one you can traverse via an avatar in game. Tyranny of Dragons, D&D 5e. I've gotten a lot of. I haven't played this campaign. I've actually never played any module in D&D, but I did get a lot of stuff and pointers about how to create some interesting campaigns and encounters. So I like buying these. Number one, also to read kind of also the story. These are almost like little mini novels about, or I wouldn't say novels, but they tell a story about this world like Drist, but in a different way. And the evolving story that is the Forgotten Realms in some canon. And that's the interesting thing about D&D is that it's not like a complete canon because people can just play it however they want. I mean, you don't even have to play in the Forgotten Realms if you don't want to. But you can certainly get stuff out of that. So much junk here. All right, here's a couple other little things. Nintendo Power. I love video game magazines. Video game magazines are one of the worst things to have disappeared because of the modern age. Look at this. Look at these spreads. Mega Man. This is from the 2010s, the Wii era. There is something beautiful about just opening a magazine and reading and seeing the art, seeing the this is an advertisement. You can't get this out of a website. You really can't. And the way websites work nowadays is you don't even go to a website. You go to Facebook or you go to YouTube or Twitter, and you see links to parts of ads or links to parts of articles or excerpts from other web pages or statements directly from these people as opposed to an actual spread here. Certainly there are some video game, reporters or journalists out there, but I don't think that it translates well enough as a magazine does. And advertisements online suck. Nobody wants to deal with an advertisement online, but an advertisement in a magazine, number one, you have more control over whether you want to see it, but they're also much cooler. Look at that. You've got this weird cosplay chick who is holding an ocarina and is like, take this ocarina. You can be like Link. You can be cool like me. Or you could say, nah, I really want to see that. You don't have to wait 15, 20 seconds, stare at that, or it just takes up half the page where you actually want to read the content. So video game magazines are amazing, and it is sad to see them go. However, there is a remaining Nintendo Power. That is, there is a remaining game magazines, and there's a whole stack right here. Retro Gamer, which kind of I'm sure this is the clientele, the core demographic for even who reads a magazine is the people who identify as a quote retro gamer, which I don't really identify as that, but I do know that a lot of people call the games that I play retro. And they still make this magazine. It's from the UK, but it's got spreads about old games and old interviews, and it is on Barnes & Noble newsstands, and it tells about modern stuff for older type games. Like this is the Atari 2600 Plus, which is a new Atari 2600 they released that plays the old games. And I have actually a lot of retro gamer magazines now, because I usually go and buy one whenever I go to Barnes & Noble. What else do I got here? Just a giant stack of mags. So we have another retro gamer. We've got PS5 Play. This is number one for PS5. I think this is also a European magazine, and I don't know if it's officially by Sony, but I saw this at Barnes & Noble too, and I had to pick it up because I have a PS5 now, so I can read about this stuff. This is a calendar. I've got like 5 2024 calendars. I don't know why, but I just kept getting 2024 calendars. I'm going to actually go take this to the office, so we'll take that. Another retro gamer. This one's all about Mario. I guess I have another one about Mario. You can see I'm kind of obsessed. Another retro gamer, Banjo-Kazooie. Dungeons and Dragons unofficial guide. PC Gamer. This is actually a good mainstay, and I think this is a U.S. print magazine, and this has not gone away for many years. Retro Gamer. This is not mine. Fitness. I'm not into fitness, so this isn't mine. retro gamer as well. So there's a bunch of, this is just one stack of them, and I have a whole bunch. So that's all here on my coffee table. That's what we have here in the books. And I'll whip out a couple more, because just as a kind of sample of what I have here. We'll do real easy manga. So what's a good one? Here's one. I have it's probably the oldest manga I own. I got this back at Half Price Books a long time ago. The one off Broadway. This is Trigun. And the Trigun, if you've never heard of it, is a really good Western style manga about a mysterious, he's a criminal, but he's a good guy. He's wanted, but you learn more about the character Vash the Stampede. He's known as the humanoid typhoon, but he's just a guy caught in a power struggle between angels and men, stuff like that. Anyways, this is like one of the first manga I've ever owned. Had it for years. My mother bought it for me back in 2000 something. I don't know if the published date is on this. This one was published 2005, so it's probably when I got it, 2005. Great introduction to the Trigun universe. It's not exactly the same as the anime. The anime is amazing, but this is, this bookshelf is filled to the brim with, not filled to the brim, but it's got a ton of manga. I've got High Score Girl, Super Mario. That's not fitting right now. I've already showed you. Here's one really good one. And I think this will be the last one. This is kind of representative of some books I had as a child. There were these gigantic DK published Marvel guides. So this one's the X-Men guide. I have a Spider-Man guide, and I think I have a Avengers guide too. And these are from like 2001 maybe. And this is one of the other reasons why I know so much about these characters, because I was a giant geek who had the opportunity to pick up these dope collections or dope stories and histories of these characters. So you got our original Beast, Cyclops, Iceman, Angel, Professor X, really his snowman, and of course Jean Grey, and she was known as something else when she first came out. She wasn't called Jean Grey. She was called let's see. It's gonna show me. Here's Cyclops, Iceman, Angel, Archangel, Beast, Phoenix. Well, they call her Phoenix. Marvel Girl. Duh, obviously, right? Marvel Girl. And it's got the X-Men movie, which had just come out around that time. You can see right there, the X-Men film. And so these are really cool books. I'll always love them because they really showed you these characters, like taught impressionable young 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds about characters from the 60s up to the 80s, and show the evolution of some of these. In addition to these characters, you've got characters like Shadowcat, who showed up around this time. And these are just really cool. I've got a few of these, and I think this will be the last one for today. These are just some of the books that are housed, the mini tomes that are housed in the game dungeon, and I just wanted to talk about them and express what they mean to me. And until next time, we'll talk about another topic about the stuff that fills these halls. See you next time.